What's going on, everyone? So, one of the teams that have been heavily linked to Los Angeles Lakers are the Brooklyn Nets. Makes a lot of sense, right? Brooklyn has essentially everything the Lakers need. Multiple wings, they got multiple centers, they got athletic guards, right? Dennis Schroder, Dorian Finney-Smith, Day'Ron Sharpe, Cam Johnson, Cam Thomas, Nick Claxton. Like, all these guys would just be wonderful on the Los Angeles Lakers. Nick Claxton, I think, is a little unrealistic. Cam Johnson, his asking price is a little too much right now. Does that maybe drop? Does that maybe come down? Potentially open the door for that. I still think, as big as I am on Zach LaVine, I still have maintained that I think the full Nets trade is probably the best overall trade, right? Because if you can get Dennis Schroder with a Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson, and then a Day'Ron Sharpe, you solve literally all of your issues. You solve all of your needs. You got that athletic guard. You got multiple two-way wings. You got that backup center that can come in, block shots, play alongside AD, backup Anthony Davis. You got so many different looks, so many different opportunities. Also, you're minimum 8 deep, right? Because depending on what you have to trade and what you end up having to give up to go get those guys, you're probably looking at like LeBron, AD, Dalton Connect, Austin Reeves, right? With Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Dennis Schroder, Day'Ron Sharpe. That's not counting if you have Max Christie still. It's not counting if you have Christian Wood, Jackson Hayes, right? Like, you could be deep, athletic, versatile, a little bit of everything, right? So if you could pull that off, that would be fantastic. However, what are the asking prices? How much is it going to cost the Lakers to potentially get these guys? Not even Cam Johnson, because we know they want minimum 2 firsts, maybe more for Cam Johnson. Okay, well, what about Dorian Finney-Smith? What about Dennis Schroder? What is that looking like? Well, we got a report. So, this is from Evan Sidery. As the Nets seek first-round draft capital for Dorian Finney-Smith and Dennis Schroder, don't be surprised to see both veteran packages together to achieve their goal. Finney-Smith and Schroder combined to make $27.9 million, an obtainable figure for various contending teams. So, the Nets want a first for Dennis Schroder and a first for Dorian Finney-Smith. They're crazy. It's crazy. Like, do you know how many teams have tried to trade a first for Dennis Schroder? Right? Like, Lakers are the only team to do it, and that was after he was coming off the campaign that he came off. Right? Like, you just don't see that. Like, Boston, right? Like, you've had several teams try to trade him for a first, and they've gotten nowhere near that. Now, couple things. One, is this kind of like, is this just the asking price, right? Like, they want first, even the report says, like that, don't be surprised to see them both veterans kind of packaged together to achieve their goal, right? Achieve their goal for 2 firsts or package them together to get 1. Okay, maybe, right? Like I've said, neither of those guys are worth a first. Couple seconds, sure, right? Pick swap, sure. Right, but to give up like a first, an unprotected first in particular, it's not worth those two. Right now, if you could package them together, I think you're closer. If you told me we got Dennis Schroder, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Day'Ron Sharpe for like a first and a second or 2 seconds, sure, right? I think you can justify that. I think you can kind of talk the fan base, talk people into like, okay, you solved your point of attack guard position, you solved your 3-and-D wing, and you solved your backup center position, all for only 1 first, right? Perfect. Now, you still have another first. You have, it's like, what, 33 million, something like that you'd have to send out for all 3 of them. I mean, Rui and D'Angelo Russell by themselves get you all 3. Dorian Finney-Smith, Day'Ron Sharpe, and Dennis Schroder. Now, you probably have to throw in like a Jackson Hayes or something like that because the Lakers don't have the money to clear a roster spot. So, you throw in whatever. Throw in a vet minimum. If they want like, whatever, Jalen Uchifino, here you go. If they want a, Maxwell Lewis, here you go. Here's a young guy to attach to it. Maybe instead of a second, you're doing that, right? Maybe you're throwing him a Maxwell Lewis because he's, a young talent, right? It's like, okay, boom. Here you go. A first, Maxwell Lewis, and then we'll do a 3-for-3 swap in the money, clear off some salary, right? Clear off, almost $2 million in salary, And then, which is good because that opens up, because now you traded D'Lo, you traded Rui, but now you have, Gabe Vincent still, you have Jared Vanderbilt, you have Max Christie if you need to, right? You still have another 30 plus million you could get in salary. I mean, if you'd be willing to trade Austin Reeves, you'd have, 50 million in salary that you could trade and unload, right? So Lakers would still have a path. They'd still have a way to go make other moves, make other trades, do whatever they need to do, kind of figure out, okay, well, like, how do we want to approach it? Worst case scenario, you got your point of attack guard, got your backup center, and you got 3-and-D wing. Worst case scenario, you're starting Dennis Schroder, Austin Reeves, right, with a Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. That's much better than what you have right now. Off the bench, you'd still have, you go get, you'd still have Gabe Vincent, right? Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, Dalton Connect, Christian Wood when he's healthy and back, and then a Day'Ron Sharpe. Cool, you're 8 to 10 deep, right? Like I said, maybe you could package a couple guys, go get another piece, right? Especially because like, could you unload a couple guys, get another like middle of the pack move, right? Go get a solid piece or two, get a Cody Martin or something, like just give you another 3-and-D guy, and then maybe free up a roster spot and go bring in Elfrid Payton or a Markelle Fultz, something like that, right? Give you just like that point of attack, athletic guard that can kind of play in the Gabe Vincent role, but maybe even potentially better, give you some athleticism, right? Just kind of give you different looks, right? Like, there's also the potential, like, kind of piecing things together. Do you get a couple guys? But I think bare minimum, you got to get Dorian Finney-Smith and you got to get Day'Ron Sharpe. I'd love a Nick Richards. I'd love a Walker Kessler. Nick Richards, we don't even know if he's available, right? Teams have inquired, but as far as we know, the Charlotte Hornets have yet to make him actually available, right? Same thing with Zach LaVine. Supposedly he's off the market now. So you have one center that's off the market. You have another center that we don't even know if he's really available. Day'Ron Sharpe, is available. Right? You could get a Valanciunas, sure. If you want to do a Valanciunas instead, fine. Then you need to get at least a Dorian Finney-Smith, and maybe at that point you get a Dennis Schroder. Right? Maybe you're taking Gabe Vincent, getting a Valanciunas, and then take Rui and D'Lo and go get Dorian Finney-Smith and a Dennis Schroder. Right? And now you have that double-double backup center. You have 3-and-D wing, and then you have that point of attack guard. Right? You could make the argument either way for Valanciunas over Day'Ron and Day'Ron over Valanciunas. Personally, I'd probably rather have Day'Ron just because he's younger, more athletic, better shot blocker, rim protector, still give you a double-double, right? So I just think either way. Although Valanciunas, I think, is fine. I do like the idea of Valanciunas being a guy that can kind of settle you a little bit. What I mean by that is, like, you see the Lakers all the time. Struggle to score, can't shoot, ball's not going into the basket. To have a guy that you can just put on the block, dump the ball down to, and he can just go to work. He can kind of, and be able to pass out of the post, make plays, throw the lob to AD, right? Stretch the floor a little bit, but he's not like this great elite floor stretcher. To me, it's just kind of like, as a starting center, yeah, you're in trouble with Valanciunas. As your backup center, he's probably one of, if not the best backup center in the league. I think you make an argument for like Andre Drummond and some of these other guys. But, to see what Valanciunas in 20 minutes, 20 minutes, he's averaging 13 and 8, right? With like 2 assists. Like, we could desperately use that on the Lakers. And that's all you're looking for him to do. Come off the bench, give you 20 minutes a game, right? Play 13 minutes along or in place of Anthony Davis, and giving you, 7 to 10 minutes alongside Anthony Davis so AD can play more 4. That's all you're looking for, right? I think that fills in. I think that's fine. But otherwise, go get a Day'Ron Sharpe. If you have to give up a first for Dorian Finney-Smith and Dennis Schroder, then I think you need to get a Day'Ron Sharpe. But if you can do something where they're not worth 2 firsts, teams have been trying to get a first for Dorian Finney-Smith for years. Dallas was trying to get a first for Dorian Finney-Smith years ago. Right? Brooklyn's been trying to get a first for like 2 years now, right? Like, teams aren't buying. Teams aren't lining up to go get Dorian Finney-Smith for a first. He's a great player, but he's a role player, right? He's solid, but he's older, right? He's a guy that, yes, can help pretty much any team in the league. He's not Jared Vanderbilt level elite defensively, but he is better offensively, right? Gives you good defense with good offense. But again, not elite at either of them. He is shooting 40, like almost 41% for three-point range, so that's pretty good. But the point is, like, he gives you athleticism, gives you versatility out on the wing, gives you some multiple things in that regard, right? I like him a lot. Dennis Schroder, I know people talk about like, oh, it's the third time around. Like, who cares, right? If he helps win, right? If we end up winning with him, like, are we going to be like, well, but you traded for Dennis Schroder the third time? Like, who cares, right? Like, he's a need, right? And he's an obtainable need. I don't care if you go through him 5 times. I mean, Dwight Howard's gone through the Lakers 3 times. Like, he wants to come back again, right? Like, who cares, right? Like, as long as it's a piece that makes sense, fits a whole. Like, if we were just bringing Dennis Schroder back just for fun, like, yeah, then maybe I'd probably agree. But it's like, no, he's actually a position of need, and he actually has a skill set that we really need. That's the difference to me. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass the question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Agree with me? Disagree with me? Kind of mixed in the middle? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are. I love to hear it either way. So let me know down in the comments below. What do you think? Think it's too much for the Brooklyn Nets? Think their asking price is insane? Would you do both for a first? Kind of in the middle, like no, or it has to be a heavily protected first, or no first at all. Give up a pick swap, 5 seconds, whatever you got to do. Anything outside of a first round pick, or do you think like no, like if you can get both, or add in a Day'Ron Sharpe? Like I said, if you add in a Day'Ron Sharpe, sure. At that point, as long as you're not giving up both first, if you're giving up a first plus, a second or whatever, sure. Okay, I can live with that. Do you feel the same way? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are. Love to hear it either way. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.